Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving deep into a head-to-head that's not just about aircraft. It's about two countries, two philosophies of air power, and two very different paths toward modernizing their skies. On one side, we have the FA-50PH Fighting Eagle, the pride of the Philippines, a compact but deadly light combat aircraft that has quickly become the backbone of the Philippine Air Force's modernization drive. On the other side, we have China's Hongdu L-15 Falcon, an advanced jet trainer and light attack aircraft that has quietly evolved into a capable multi-role platform, carrying not just the promise of pilot training but also the teeth to fight in real combat. This is not just a story of machines, it's also a story of geopolitics, alliances, and strategy. Because when we look at the FA-50PH, we see Korea's KAI working closely with the United States, bringing in F-16 DNA, Western avionics, and a design meant to integrate seamlessly with American allies. And when we look at the Hongdu L-15, we see China's determination to break into the global defense market with an indigenous product, borrowing ideas from Russian trainers, but reshaping them into something that carries Beijing's vision of self-reliance and export ambition. So what happens when these two aircraft are placed side by side? Which one gives its operators the better balance of training, affordability, and frontline combat capability? And more importantly, what do they reveal about the future of aerial warfare in Asia, where both China and the Philippines find themselves on very different sides of the strategic chessboard? Stay with me, because in this video we're not only going to break down the specs, we're going to tell the full story. How the FA-50PH became the sharp spear of the Philippines, why the L-15 Falcon is one of China's most ambitious trainer exports, and how they compare in speed, agility, weapons, and battlefield survivability. This isn't just numbers on a chart. It's about which aircraft you'd rather have flying overhead when the skies turn hostile. When we talk about the FA-50PH Fighting Eagle, we're really talking about the centerpiece of the Philippines' long journey toward rebuilding its air combat capability. For decades, the Philippine Air Force struggled with limited resources and outdated platforms. It relied heavily on old trainers, Vietnam-era aircraft, and second-hand jets that were more symbolic than practical. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, the country faced a harsh reality. The Philippines had no supersonic fighter jets left in service, leaving its skies vulnerable and its defense posture weak. Enter South Korea's Korea Aerospace Industries, better known as KAI. In partnership with Lockheed Martin, KAI developed the T-50 Golden Eagle, a supersonic advanced trainer heavily influenced by the legendary F-16 Fighting Falcon. The FA-50 is essentially the combat-capable version of that platform. It took the speed, handling, and aerodynamics of the F-16, scaled it down into a lighter, more affordable package, and equipped it with enough weapons and sensors to hold its own in a real fight. For a country like the Philippines, which needed a cost-effective yet modern aircraft, the FA-50 was a near-perfect fit. The Philippines acquired the FA-50PH variant, a customized model tailored to their requirements. It gave them supersonic capability for the first time in nearly a decade. The jet itself is compact but sleek. It can reach speeds of Mach 1.5, powered by a single General Electric F404 engine. That might not sound as powerful as twin-engine fighters, but for a lightweight jet, it's more than enough to chase down intruders, conduct interception missions, and provide close air support. One of the biggest strengths of the FA-50PH is its avionics suite. Drawing heavily from American systems, the cockpit feels like a smaller cousin of the F-16. It features modern glass cockpit displays, a hands-on throttle and stick setup, and compatibility with advanced targeting pods. For pilots especially, those transitioning from older propeller-driven aircraft, it's a huge leap forward in situational awareness. They can now track multiple targets, integrate with modern command and control networks, and use precision-guided munitions. Weapons-wise, the FA-50PH is surprisingly versatile for its size. It comes equipped with a 20mm internal cannon, capable of strafing ground targets or engaging in close-range air-to-air combat. More importantly, it can carry a wide range of external stores across 7 hardpoints. That includes AIM-9 Sidewinder, missiles for air combat, AGM-65 Maverick missiles for precision strikes, laser-guided bombs, and even beyond visual range missiles in upgraded configurations. While the Philippine variant initially came with a limited weapons package, upgrades are gradually expanding its arsenal, making it not just a trainer or light fighter, but a true multi-role aircraft. Another important point is its role in the Philippine defense strategy. The FA-50PH is not meant to fight against fifth-generation stealth fighters like China's J-20 or America's F-35. Instead, it's designed to give the Philippines control over its airspace, deterrence against intrusions, and the ability to support ground troops during conflicts. In a region where gray zone warfare, territorial disputes, and airspace violations are common, having a supersonic jet ready to scramble is already a major upgrade. And then there's the question of training. Because the FA-50 evolved from the T-50 trainer, it doubles as a bridge between basic flight training and advanced fighter operations. Philippine pilots who cut their teeth on turboprops like the S-211 or SF-260 can now step into the FA-50 and quickly transition toward handling modern fighter tactics. It creates a pipeline of pilots who can eventually integrate into more advanced jets in the future, should the Philippines decide to purchase heavier fighters. From a cost perspective, the FA-50PH also hits a sweet spot. It's far cheaper than buying something like an F-16V or a Rafale, but it still delivers supersonic speed, precision weapons, and NATO interoperability. That's a big deal for the Philippines, which is balancing limited defense budgets with the need to modernize rapidly in the face of regional threats. So when you see the FA-50PH soaring across Philippine skies, you're not just looking at a light fighter, you're looking at a symbol of renewal. This aircraft represents a nation taking steps to regain control of its skies, to train a new generation of fighter pilots, and to show its neighbors that it is serious about defense. It might not dominate global headlines like stealth fighters or heavy bombers, but for the Philippines, the FA-50 is nothing less than a game changer. Now let's shift our attention to the other side of this story, the Hongdu L-15 Falcon, China's answer to the growing need for advanced jet trainers and light combat aircraft. While the FA-50 draws its roots from Western design, the L-15 comes from a very different lineage, one shaped by China's relationship with Russia and its determination to carve out a place in the global aviation industry. The Hongdu L-15 first took to the skies in 2006, and from the very beginning it was clear that this wasn't just a basic trainer. China's Hongdu Aviation Industry Group designed it with a dual mission in mind: train the next generation of Chinese fighter pilots and provide a low-cost yet capable combat platform for export. To achieve that, they didn't build it in isolation. They worked closely with Russian aerospace expertise, particularly from the Yakovlev Design Bureau, which had extensive experience in advanced jet trainers like the Yak-130. If you look closely at the L-15, you'll notice design similarities. It has that same sleek, blended wing body shape and twin-engine layout that echoes Russian trainers. But China didn't just copy. They took those influences and began shaping the L-15 into something uniquely their own. One of the standout features is its propulsion. Unlike the single-engine FA-50, the L-15 relies on two AI-222K25F turbofan engines developed in Ukraine, but later refined with Chinese input. These engines give the L-15 a strong thrust-to-weight ratio and, importantly, afterburner capability. That means the L-15 isn't just a subsonic trainer. It can push past the sound barrier and fly supersonic, a key requirement for preparing pilots to transition to frontline fighters like the J-10 or the stealthy J-20. Performance-wise, the L-15 is impressive for its category. It can reach speeds of Mach 1.4, slightly less than the FA-50's Mach 1.5 top speed. But with twin engines, it offers redundancy and strong acceleration. Its agility is a key selling point, thanks to advanced aerodynamics and digital fly-by-wire controls. That makes it ideal for teaching pilots high-G maneuvers and complex aerial tactics before they step into frontline jets. The cockpit is another highlight. Hongdu designed the L-15 with a modern glass cockpit, featuring large multifunction displays, hands-on throttle and stick controls, and compatibility with Chinese helmet-mounted sights. This mirrors the avionics philosophy of China's more advanced fighters giving trainees a seamless transition from the L-15 to operational aircraft. And in its light combat variants, the L-15A and L-15B, the avionics package becomes even more capable, with advanced radar systems, targeting pods, and compatibility with precision-guided weapons. Speaking of weapons, the L-15 Falcon is not just a classroom in the sky, it's a fighter in its own right. With up to 9 hardpoints, it can carry a wide range of munitions. That includes PL-5 and PL-10 short-range air-to-air missiles, precision-guided bombs, and even air-to-surface weapons for strike missions. The combat-capable variant also integrates electronic warfare pods and reconnaissance systems, expanding its mission profile beyond just training. In many ways, China sees the L-15 as a cost-effective multi-role solution for nations that can't afford high-end fighters, but still want credible air power. And that's where the export angle comes in. Beijing has positioned the L-15 as a competitor on the global trainer and light fighter market. Countries in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East have all shown interest, with Zambia becoming one of the first export customers. For China, every L-15 that leaves its factories is not just about money, it's about influence. Each sale ties another country into China's defense ecosystem, making them reliant on Chinese spare parts, weapons, and training. It's a strategic tool as much as it is a product. But the L-15 also plays a crucial role at home. Within the People's Liberation Army Air Force and the Chinese Navy Air Arm, the L-15 fills the gap between basic trainers and advanced frontline fighters. It ensures that pilots aren't just learning the basics of flight, but are also mastering supersonic speeds, weapons employment, and complex avionics systems. In short, it prepares them for the realities of modern aerial combat in a way that older trainers simply couldn't. What makes the L-15 fascinating is how it represents China's broader military philosophy. Unlike the Philippines, which relies heavily on alliances and imported Western technology, China is striving for self-sufficiency. By creating the L-15, it demonstrates that its aviation industry can not only meet domestic training needs but also compete internationally. And while some may dismiss it as just another copy of Russian designs, the truth is that China has steadily refined the platform into something distinctly Chinese, an aircraft that embodies its ambitions on the world stage. So when you see the Hongdu L-15 Falcon, you're not just looking at a trainer jet. You're looking at a symbol of China's rise as an aerospace power, a bridge between old Soviet influence and new Chinese innovation, and a tool for expanding Beijing's reach across the skies of the developing world. Now comes the question that really matters. When we place the FA-50PH Fighting Eagle side by side with the Hongdu L-15 Falcon, who comes out on top? At first glance, these two jets seem to live in the same world. They're both marketed as advanced trainers that double up as light combat aircraft. They're both affordable compared to heavy fighters. And they both exist because their home countries needed something more than a trainer, but less than a full-blown fifth-generation jet. But once we look closer, their differences begin to tell a much bigger story. Let's start with performance. The FA-50PH is a single-engine supersonic jet derived from the F-16, and that heritage shows. With its Mach 1.5 top speed and aerodynamic agility, it's designed to fly and fight like a smaller Falcon. The L-15 Falcon, on the other hand, is a twin-engine design with Mach 1.4 capability. That means it trades a little top-end speed for redundancy and acceleration. Which is better? That depends. The FA-50's single engine makes it lighter, cheaper to maintain, and simpler to operate. But the L-15's twin-engine setup gives pilots an extra layer of safety in case of engine failure, and it allows for slightly more thrust in certain maneuvers. Now let's talk avionics. This is where the FA-50 really shines, especially in the Philippine variant. Its cockpit is a mirror of Western fighters, with compatibility for NATO-standard weapons, targeting pods, and communication systems. That means, when it trains or fights, alongside allies like the United States, it integrates seamlessly. The L-15, by contrast, uses Chinese-designed avionics and weapon systems. That makes it perfect for countries buying into Beijing's defense ecosystem, but less so for those who need interoperability with Western partners. For the Philippines, which relies on U.S. security guarantees, The FA-50 is a natural fit. For China and its export clients, the L-15 is the more logical option. Weapons are where things get really interesting. The FA-50PH carries Sidewinders, Mavericks, guided bombs, and potentially beyond visual range missiles in future upgrades. It's basically a mini F-16, giving it both air-to-air and air-to-ground punch. The L-15 Falcon, meanwhile, is no slouch. With up to 9 hardpoints, it can carry Chinese air-to-air missiles like the PL-5 and PL-10, as well as precision-guided munitions and strike weapons. In raw payload terms, the L-15 may have a slight edge, especially since it's designed from the ground up with a combat-optimized variant. But here's the catch: weapons compatibility. The FA-50 taps into the massive catalog of Western munitions, proven in decades of combat. The L-15, while armed, depends on China's weapons ecosystem, which some operators may find limiting. And then there's the role of each aircraft. The FA-50 is not trying to be everything. It's a light fighter first, a trainer second. For the Philippines, that makes sense. It fills the gap left by heavier fighters they don't yet have, giving them a frontline supersonic aircraft that can intercept intruders, support ground troops, and project power within their territory. The L-15, by contrast, started as a trainer first and became a fighter second. That means within China, it's mainly used to prepare pilots for more advanced jets like the J-10 and J-20, but in export markets it's sold as a do-it-all solution. It can train, it can fight, and it can serve as the backbone of an air force that doesn't have the budget for heavy fighters. Survivability is another factor. The FA-50 benefits from its F-16 DNA, fast, agile, and reliable. But being single-engine does mean higher risk in combat if that engine is damaged. The L-15's twin engines give it more redundancy, and its newer variants even integrate electronic warfare pods and advanced countermeasures. On paper, that makes it slightly more survivable in contested environments. But survivability is more than hardware. It's about training, doctrine, and support infrastructure. Here, the Philippines' alliance with the U.S. gives the FA-50 an edge, because it trains under Western doctrine and can rely on Allied support in joint operations. Cost and strategy may be the biggest dividing lines of all. The FA-50 costs around $30–35 million per unit, depending on configuration. The L-15 is often priced lower, especially for export clients, making it attractive for countries with tight budgets. But cost isn't just about the sticker price, it's about long-term logistics. The FA-50 benefits from decades of Western supply chains and proven maintenance systems. The L-15 depends on China's support, which may not always be as globally accessible. For a small air force deciding which jet to buy, that can be the deciding factor. So if you had to pick one, FA-50PH or L-15, which is better? The truth is, neither aircraft is strictly better in every way. The FA-50 is the sharper tool if you're a U.S. ally, plugged into NATO systems and in need of a jet that can perform like a fighter at a fraction of the cost. The L-15 is the smarter option if you're aligned with China, want a versatile, trainer-fighter hybrid, and need to stretch your defense dollars. Both jets do their jobs well, but they're built for different customers, different doctrines, and different geopolitical worlds, and that's the real takeaway. The FA-50PH Fighting Eagle and the Hongdu L-15 Falcon aren't just competing jets, they're symbols of competing visions. One represents the Western alliance network, interoperability, and proven design. The other represents China's rise, self-reliance, and an export strategy aimed at reshaping global defense markets. When they meet in comparison, what we're really seeing is a snapshot of today's strategic rivalry playing out in the skies. At the end of the day, the question isn't which jet is absolutely superior. It's which jet is right for the mission, for the country, and for the world each one represents.